Hello and welcome to 10 Minute Tabletop. I'm Devin.
And I'm Darren.
And here are the biggest stories from tabletop gaming from the past week in 10 minutes or less so you can get back to playing the game. Live streaming hopeful Moonbeam has already found success with the tabletop RPG community in its latest crowdfunding endeavor.
A new live streaming platform is stepping up to challenge Twitch, and it has a lot of support from the TTRPG community. It's called Moonbeam, and it's already exceeded its goal of 10,000 on BackerKit. It's around 41K right now. According to its creators, Moonbeam is going to provide a more community-driven streaming space where safety and creative revenue are prioritized.
This will be achieved via a new AI moderation tool, community hubs, and 100% revenue for creators. Moonbeam already has the support from tabletop names like Kobold Press, GameholeCon, Alchemy RPG, Blackwater D&D, Ninth Level Games, Green Ronin Games, and Vancouver by Night. But why is this important? There hasn't really been a challenger to Twitch as far as long-form live content since YouTube started eating away at their numbers. Twitch has continued not to be able to monetize, and that's why they've done 3 rounds of layoffs in the last 2 years. Seeing someone else try to come into the space, I am hopeful for them. These moderation tools are AI driven as well, which the tabletop RPG industry is very critical of most AI. So this is the first time we're seeing AI that is being accepted. These moderation tools are fantastic, and I think they're kind of the bulk of what makes this product interesting.
Well, on their BackerKit page itself, it does say that it wants to use technology ethically. Yes. So like ethics-based technology where it's like utilizing the things that AI give us, but in a way that actually gives back to the community and highlights the things that it needs.
The thing I'm very curious about is the monetization platform of it. It seems like heavily will be drawn on when people purchase kind of a virtual currency and ads and partnerships, which Twitch hasn't been profitable yet. And the amount that it takes to host this video and actually live streaming, it just doesn't work with their financials. And they're owned by Amazon, which has Amazon Cloud Services, right? So, or Amazon Web Services. So I'm wondering how this monetization platform is going to work. It is really favorable to the creator, but the logistics, I'm very excited to see how that works out. I wish them the best because I do think there's a lot of toxicity in live streaming. And if a tool can help kind of eradicate that, I'd be very impressed to see how it works.
It also seems like it's creating a more collaborative space if you want to get into the streaming game. So instead of just shouldering it on your own, doing it all by yourself, you can split revenue shares within the platform itself, multiple accounts and go on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool features in this.
There's a lot of really great features. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if a year from now they're acquired by Twitch or acquired by YouTube, because a lot of these tools are tools I see that like people would be clamoring for. And so let's see what kind of market share they're able to get in that first year. On to our next story.
The Dungeons & Dragons history book reignites the Gygax sexism discourse.
A new book on the D&D history, The Making of Original Dungeons & Dragons, 1970 to 1977, has brought back internet arguments over Gary Gygax's views on women at the table. The book itself is meant the making of the original game through the preserved notes and even the first draft typed out by Gygax himself. In these very notes are Gygax's less than modern views on women and slavery in games.
Discourse around this arose when the designer who worked with Gygax during those days called out these accounts as slanderous and accused Wizards of the Coast, who published this new book, of changing the narrative to make itself look better than Gygax. Naturally, this summoned more people to argue all over social media, and just a spectrum of takes were presented from Gygax as a man of his time to Wizards of the Coast's recent handling of the brand. D&D is even worth playing when someone's favorite indie game is right there.
Ben Riggs, who you might remember from a Twitter thread earlier in the year that we have passed the golden age of tabletop role-playing games, has summarized the entire content within the book around sexism, around slavery, in a fantastic Twitter thread that you can find on x.com. We'll go ahead and put it in the descriptions. That's the first time I've called it x.com.
X.com.
That's what it is.
First of all, X.com. Okay, boomer. Okay.
And our next story.
Let's talk about the D&D and Season 5 Stranger Things tie-in. So Jess Lanzillo, D&D's VP of Franchise and Product, recently had an interview with Adweek. When asked specifically about Stranger Things Season 5, Lanzillo hinted that their side of things is already preparing for a series of adventures and tie-ins. So according to her, they don't get full spoilers from Netflix, just enough to make the product and assist in the visual identity of certain creatures. So why is this important?
So we all know that like D&D gets a huge pop when it's shown in pop culture culture. In fact, I've done numerous user interviews, and when I ask people, how'd you hear about D&D? They're like, oh, it's just kind of in the cultural zeitgeist, from Freaks and Geeks to Community, Big Bang Theory. That's actually one of the things I think D&D is missing on their marketing side, is actually like trying to get more product placement in TV and movies. But Stranger Things is one of the huge reasons why 5e got all this attention, was from the first season of Stranger Things. We saw this big pop that was around the same time Critical Role was starting to see a huge gaining traction as well. That's when a lot of APs started to roll out. We also saw back when E.T. was released, they featured Dungeons and Dragons in the E.T. movie, and they saw a huge boom around D&D back then as well. So every time Stranger Things has a pop, you see D&D have that same kind of success of people interested in it to come to the game. It's not really driving people who are currently playing, but it is getting people interested in the game itself.
Yeah, it's just name recognition, right? So that's like ad and marketing 101 and something you don't really think about that much. But when you see billboards for things everywhere, for Coke, for Nike, whatever it is, your brain just automatically recognizes, oh, I know what Dungeons and Dragons is. I know what D&D is. And like in the show that everybody knows, everyone can reference 11, everything that happens in the arc of that show. And so just having that alone, I would think was huge for D&D, especially in the last couple of years.
And I believe Stranger Things collectively, if you look at all the seasons put together, is the most watched show on Netflix. I could be wrong about this. I know that like most watched season has definitely been toppled, but it was one of the most successful shows they've ever produced. So season 5 coming out. I'm also curious, what's the monster going to be this time? We had the Elder Brain, right? We had Vecna. We had the Demogorgon. What's next? Oh, no, we had the Mind Flayer, not the Elder Brain, the Mind Flayer.
I was like, Elder Brain, that was Baldur's Gate. Yeah. Viewers at home, I'd like you to guess, what do you think the monster's going to be for season 5 of Stranger Things?
I think it's a Beholder.
Oh.
I think it's a Beholder.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah. I feel like... Not me being... I was trying to think of monsters, and the first thing my brain went to, guess what my first thing that it went to? It's everyone's.
Unicorn.
Gelatinous cube. Because I was just like, it's so camp that it's like, bring it in somehow. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
I'm trying to think of like, owlbear. That could be one. I'm trying to think of like OG troll.
Like classic.
Or maybe it's a dragon. Like a dragon.
A classic dragon, one that talks, one that's smart, smog flavors,
Yeah. But let us know in the comments. Yeah, again, we want to hear what monster you think that we'll see in this season's Stranger Things. Thanks so much for tuning in to the show. If you'd like to support us, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Total Party Chill, or go ahead and support us by sharing this with your friends, your family, or your enemies. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.